Hi, folks. I'm Jamie Hiles.
Um, Emoji Man. I hope that comes through.
This is Scream Bloody Movies, the podcast where we review a horror movie each week, go over the horror news, and we are down a co-host this week. Lydia could not make it, so it's just dudes night.
Yeah. Dudes. I'll be
How's
here
it
all
going
night,
tonight?
guys.
Oh my god, we've
Ah,
got to quit with these emojis.
fine.
Oh my god. It's got to stop. It's got to stop.
Do
You
you want
having
me
a good
to
one
cut
today?
it out? Is that what you want me to
Dude,
do?
this is ridiculous. This is ridiculous now.
All right, dude. No more. I'm done.
You're making me very sad with all of these emojis.
Rainy day.
Oh my god, this is all unusable, by the way.
Fine. Anyway, I'm okay. How about yourself?
I'm hanging in there, just bringing in the new year. By the way, this is the first episode of season 4. We have made it 4 years into this project. So congratulations. Confetti!
Nah, four. That's where I was going. I thought the
And
confetti
it's
is just
also
accidental.
New Year. So happy New Year's, guys. And I was thinking, what better my god. What better way to spend New Year's than to talk about the 1980 slasher flick Terror Train? But before we get into that, let's get ourselves a little bit of the horror news. So, Derek, this is some pretty cool news. This is actually kind of wild. So there are several horror movies that are set to be produced by James Wan and Sam Raimi. Okay.
Together?
Yeah, and they have some. Together and separately. So
Okay.
they have, and they have video game adaptions for these.
Okay.
So here we go. There is Every House is Haunted from Sam Raimi and Roy Lee, which is about an insurance investigator tries to debunk claims that a couple's death was caused by a haunted house, but his doubts are challenged by a psychic in the mysterious circumstances he witnesses with his own eyes. That sounds great, by the way.
It sounds fun.
Yeah,
And especially if Sam Raimi is attached,
yeah.
he knows how to bring it.
There's a movie called The Burden. This is the Sam Raimi, James Wan produced. It is a young woman visits her boyfriend's family home. She learns about a sinister history with his creepy neighbor, and soon all kinds of skeletons come out of the closet. Okay, I'm down with those guys producing something together, right?
Yeah, for sure. I hope there's a scene where a bunch of skeletons fall out of the closet.
Literally, yeah.
Yep.
Hunting season. A law officer from the future is declared an enemy of the state and sentenced to be executed by the society's method of choice. Sent to the past where they are stalked by a posse. The man has 3 days to acclimate and find a way to survive. That kind of sounds like Looper.
Kind of does, yeah.
A little bit, right?
I've not seen Looper, but I know the premise of it, and you are
Yeah, it's
correct.
a lot like Looper's really good. It's a Rian Johnson movie. It's good.
Yeah.
And then here's the big one. James Wan is directing a adaptation of the Lovecraft story, The Call of Cthulhu.
Ooh, Cthulhu.
Ooh,
Calling
yeah.
on the phone.
Oh my god. Lovecraft's Call of Cthulhu consists of 3 interconnected parts and is presented as notes belonging to Francis Thurston, a Boston resident investigating the ancient deity Cthulhu. That sounds amazing.
It does sound pretty cool.
I'm down with all of this, right?
Way down to Chinatown.
And here's a image of Cthulhu if you don't know what he's supposed to look like.
Isn't he like an octopus looking thing?
Yeah, like that.
I knew it. That's where
Yep.
I buried my treasure.
Pretty good. Pretty good. I'm excited. That sounds awesome. There has not been an actual Cthulhu adaptation, I don't think, ever, right? Not in film.
Man, I don't know. I think there, dude. I saw a weird movie one time.
I mean, not a proper adaptation.
No, I mean maybe not a proper adaptation. There was a movie. So, do you remember Friday the 13th remake from like
Of course, I
2009?
remember Friday the 13th, the remake. What are you talking about? We went and saw it in the theaters, and it was like
Fine.
not that long ago.
Whatever, that was like almost 15 years ago.
It was, but relatively, we're
But
watching a movie from 1980 tonight.
I mean that is true. The guy that is in that scene in the barn where he's like has a relationship with his
Oh
mannequin.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
So that guy played in a movie, and I'm pretty sure Cthulhu. You're right, it wasn't proper, but it was an
yeah.
adaptation of Cthulhu. It was actually terrible. I would not recommend
Of
that
course,
movie. So
that's not surprising.
don't watch
I
it.
mean, the other Lovecraft movie that I think of is when we watched Beyond the Walls of Sleep, which was atrocious.
Yeah, I remember falling asleep to that.
Yeah, we all did.
Yep.
We have a release date for The Strangers Chapter 1 is now getting a May
Mm,
2024 release date.
it's pretty cool.
Yep. So
And
it's
that's
May
like the
17th.
3 back to back to back, right?
Yeah, directed by Rennie Harlan. And we have it's said to, the first one is said to be something of a remake of the original, while its sequels will blaze a new path.
Mm,
So, I mean, we're interested in this project just because it's so fucking weird, right?
yeah.
It's just a weird, like, first it's a weird thing to remake, and then it's a weird thing to like turn into a franchise, really. So it's just interesting. This whole thing is, I think. Next, we have Eli Roth's Thanksgiving is hitting Blu-ray next month, January 30th. It'll be on its way to Blu-ray, DVD, and 4K. So
Interesting.
we'll be able to check that one out and do a review on it probably when it hits the home media. And then finally, Derek, we have our first image of Willem Dafoe from Robert Edgar's Nosferatu. Here he is as the vampire hunter.
He's the vampire hunter?
Yes, he plays the mad
Missed
vampire hunter.
opportunity. That looks awesome.
It looks amazing.
And yeah, and Sir William, as we call him sometimes.
Willem Dafoe.
Willem
Yes.
Dafoe.
Yes.
Oh, it is Willem. You're right.
Yep.
We should start that over. So, Willem or Sir Willem, as we call him all the time, looks awesome.
Yeah, I'm excited to see it. That picture looks amazing. I love just the.
It does.
I mean, it looks awesome. I'm excited for that. We're gonna have a lot to say about that. Lydia will give her review of this movie on next week's episode. So, Derek, are you ready to dive into 1980s Canadian slasher horror?
I'm ready to dive in the foot deep water that is this movie.
The foot deep water. You don't think it's deep?
Nope.
What are you talking
No,
about?
the beginning of this movie, you have to work your way into it. But
there's some pacing issues with this one. There's pacing issues with this one. So, little background: this movie was made in 1980, like I said, shot in '79, right after Halloween. Basically, the concept was by Daniel Grodnick, the executive producer, was let's make Halloween on a train. So they got Jamie Lee Curtis and they fucking tried to do that. Unsuccessfully. If you're trying to create Halloween, it's nowhere near that quality or tension, obviously. But
yeah,
this movie's weird. It's a weird movie, really, because it kind of combines frat house comedy with a slasher movie.
Yeah, it really does. And then throw Mama from the train, so it's a bad.
There's no throw Mama. Get the fuck out of here.
No, it is kind of a mixture of those two elements of movies. So yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and of course the big get for the movie was casting Jamie Lee Curtis. She's the reason that this movie's remembered. She's the reason people watch it still, is because it was part of her
Hmm.
Scream Queen run.
Yep.
Because she did this or she did Halloween, Prom Night, this Road Games, and then Halloween 2 kind of ended her Scream Queen phase that she had there for like 2 years. The Fog was in there as well.
That's
So
quite a run.
it is. It is. It's a real good run, and most of those are great movies. Obviously, The Fog, Halloween, and Halloween 2 are all really great. And then this one's, we'll talk about the quality of this one, and then Road Games is really interesting.
Hmm.
So, what do you think of Jamie in this movie?
Um, she's great as ever. She looks great. She's so young in this movie,
Yeah.
and vibrant, full of life, and yeah, I mean, she's one of the standouts for sure.
Yeah, and her character is interesting because she kind of plays. I mean, her character plays a direct role in the prank that kicks off the movie,
Hmm.
but she wasn't involved in the prank. She kind of gets coerced by her best friend to join the prank,
Yeah.
and she doesn't
Well,
know.
and she didn't know the extent of it either.
Yeah,
Like she didn't.
she thought there was somebody laying in there that was going to scare him or something.
Hmm.
Because they said, "Who's that?" She's like, "Oh, that's one of his friends."
Yep.
So, dude, this fucking prank, by the way.
Is terrible. Like, why would
Yeah,
anybody
what?
do that? They stole a cadaver from a morgue and put it in a bed to scare somebody. Like, that is morbid.
And not only was it just a cadaver, but it was a cadaver with his like freaking arms chopped off and shit.
I know. Like, first off, if that were to happen, like, I don't see how you could stay with somebody. You know what I mean? Like,
No,
nobody gets dumped because this is her freshman year, the beginning
yeah,
of it, and by the
yeah,
time we get to the frat house party train, she's a senior. She's ready to
yeah,
graduate.
yeah. And here's what's funny too is the fact that they almost get kicked out of school, but they how do you not get kicked out of school? That is a fucking crime.
I don't know how you don't get arrested. I
Yeah,
mean,
that's a crime.
even in 1980, like that's some serious stuff. Like,
Yeah. So funny that that's the way it goes. But yeah, this prank is something else on this poor uh D bag kid. He just never
mm-hmm,
gets laid. He's just trying to fucking, you know, Kenny Hampson is his name. And they're like, yeah,
yeah.
she really likes you. They play this terrible prank. Derek, tell me, when you saw Doc, how long did it take you to realize who he was, who played him?
Uh, I still don't know who played him.
You don't know who Doc is? Oh my god,
I
dude!
do
It
now.
it's Hart Bachner. It's Ellis from Die Hard.
No.
Yeah, yeah,
What?
yep.
Man,
Ellis.
I mean, he had a beard in Die Hard, so I don't know
Yeah,
how you
its
expect me
voice
to
is
pick that
exactly
out.
the same. Yeah.
Yeah, I did not make that connection until literally just now.
Did you know he also is the voice of the DA in Batman: Mask of the Phantasm?
Nope, didn't know that either. You're full of it tonight. I
I
meant
know. I'm
trivia, not
full
shit.
of the trivia. Got that trivia. The trivia coming out of my wazoo.
I don't know
But
what was in my milk that I had earlier, but
dude, Doc is a terrible character.
dude, Doc confuses me. He is a
Yeah.
terrible character. I
Not like a
also think that
terribly written character. He's just a terrible
no, no,
person.
no,
Yeah.
he is a terrible person. Man, I also think that he has a crush on what's his face.
I think it's implied as well. Yeah. I
Yep.
think it's implied as well. On what's his name? I don't remember the boyfriend's
Is
name.
it
I really don't.
Mitch?
No, Mitchie is the girl. Is it Mo? I think it's Mo.
I think it is. Yeah,
Yeah.
Mo.
Yeah. So Yeah, because there's that scene where he's like, "Did she dump you? You know, she mad at you still or whatever?" And he's like, "If she dumps you, you know, you always have me." And he's like, "Yeah, Doc." And he's like, "No, I'm serious."
Mm-hmm.
And then he
Yeah, that's
tries
when
to
I was
get
like,
him in.
huh.
Then he
Yeah,
tries to get
good.
him in trouble with the girl later.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like devastated when he dies, like like
Yeah,
an
he took it
inconsolable
hard.
level. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Part of this movie that is weird to me because you touched on it earlier. The pacing of this movie, what like have you seen this before? Was this the first time watching it?
This was the first time watching it. I had to take breaks in the beginning. I watched the first 10 minutes and I'm like, oh my god, I don't know if I can do this. And then I watched about probably 10 more minutes, and then I sat down and just was like, I gotta watch it. And about halfway through, I was like, okay, okay, I can see why someone would watch this movie. But yeah, the pacing in this movie is, it's got a lot of fat in it.
It
You know what I
does.
mean?
There's a lot of fat, and here's the thing. Here's what I think is weird about it is so Halloween because I'm comparing it directly to Halloween because they said let's make Halloween on a train, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
Michael Myers doesn't kill anybody after he escapes, besides the mechanic, you know, uh, until he kills Annie in the car in the second act. You know what I mean? Like there's just a long stretch, but he's always there, and the tension is there, and you also care about these characters, and the story is interesting. This
Mm-hmm.
movie tries to build these characters and these stories, but it falls flat a lot because we spend a lot of time on the conductor and we spend a lot of time on David fucking Copperfield.
Yeah. For sure. So this movie is 137 minutes. They
Yeah,
could have cut 17 minutes from this and made it a tight movie.
yeah, yeah. There's a scene we were watching. So you know the bit where the conductor, who is a fine character, what do you think of the conductor as a character?
Um, I liked the character. I liked him. I think he was a strong actor. I liked
Yeah,
his performance in this. But you're right. Like I think you're 100% right on the magician, and they to a degree make him like the MacGuffin of the
he's supposed to
film.
be the red herring. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, but they did spend a ton of time on him, and also just like the back and forth of like the party scenes and going through the halls like a bunch of times and
yeah. In the same location. So there's a bit where the conductor comes in and he meets Doc. He sees Doc and Mitchie. They're like in the caboose, and he has his cards, and he's like, "Hey, pick a card," and he does this card trick, and they play the whole card trick scene out,
mm-hmm.
and it's just like a 5 minute scene, just for him to be like, "Oh, and it changed colors." He's like, "It's a
Yeah.
gag, but it's a pretty good one." And that scene ended. I looked over at Sarah and I said, "Well, that scene was riveting. I'm glad they kept that one in there." Like, why? Why is that there?
Well, then he goes out and does another fucking card trick.
Yeah, it's just like I don't know. And yeah, it's just crazy. He does the card tricks, and then we spend time with him. I like the conductor as a character, but we spend I think a little
Mm-hmm.
bit too much time with him,
Mm-hmm.
like the RV stuff. Talking about the RVs, and there's the one weird guy that's like, nope. Trains are the way of the future. Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Oh, yeah. I know, and that's really funny living in like today
Yeah,
and just kind of seeing how everything actually played out. You're just like, that guy's an idiot.
yeah. Well, I mean,
So
even
yeah.
then he was an idiot.
Yeah.
The highways were built. You know what I mean? It's just funny.
Yeah, and we take communication for granted because like you can literally make a phone call anywhere. They're talking about like, oh man, I wish that they would have put a CB or some sort of communication on this train because what do you think this is, Amtrak? I think is what he
Yeah,
said.
yeah. Because
And then
yeah,
you're just like,
they're
wow.
stuck once the killing start because the killing pretty much starts at the beginning We get our
Yeah.
first death, which is that freaking annoying as fuck character that I'm glad dies that early.
All that had the awesome jokes. And by awesome, I
The
mean
guy,
terrible
the guy in
jokes.
the Groucho. Yeah. Oh my
Yeah.
god.
He died, and you're just
That.
like, thank you.
Yeah, he's pretty atrocious, wasn't he?
Yes, he was, actually.
So we have that guy, and so our killer for a good chunk of the movie is wearing the Groucho. What do you think of the killer's mask and the killer's look?
I don't like it, man.
You don't like the
It's
Groucho mask?
too. No, it's the cover for this. If you're not paying attention, it almost looks like a monkey or something. Like it
Hmm.
just looks weird, or a puppet. A puppet would be
Yeah.
a better description of it. So you could kind of be taken by that. I guess it's fine. Actually, the most or the best scene with that mask on is kind of towards the end of the movie where he had fallen off the train and she's like
Oh,
laying
that's
in the
with the old
car.
man mask. I'm not talking about the
Yeah.
old man mask. I'm talking about the mask at the beginning that he wears, the Groucho mask.
Oh, I guess that did change.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's nothing. It's okay.
Yeah,
What are your thoughts
so
on it?
I don't mind it. I'm with you. I think it's okay. Uh as an image, I think it's pretty good, but in action it's not cuz the eye holes are too big so you can see the eyes in it, and
Hmm.
it's just, I don't know. It's not scary. It's interesting, but and then the kills in this movie are weird too, right? Um because we get that sword, none of them are on screen really. All of them are pretty much off screen. Um so we get he's impaled with the sword. Okay. And then so he dies. And then the next one is with the alligator guy,
Hmm.
which is a pretty good kill. That's actually a decent one. It's the best one in the movie, I think,
Yeah.
because we actually see some violence. You know what I mean?
Yeah. He gets roughed up in the
Yeah.
bathroom.
So when the conductor finds him, Derek, it fucking cracks me up.
Why is that?
Well, because of the way it plays out. Like, so he finds him, and he's like, "Oh man, he looks pretty." And then he goes in there and he's like touches him. Oh, and then the next scene we cut, and he's just like pouring himself some coffee, like nothing happened. Like he didn't come in. Oh my god, guys, fucking somebody's dead. He's like, you got something
I mean,
stronger? I just found a
he
dead body.
could have been in shock. Give him the benefit of the doubt. He could have been in shock. And at this point, I don't know that he, not necessarily
he
suspects, but he didn't land on foul play. I think he
no,
landed on like this
he
person
thought.
was.
Yes, he did. He did. But it's just the way he handled it. Instead of being like, hey, like as soon as he comes
Somebody
in, oh my god,
died.
guys, yeah, or just John, we got to talk. So I found one of the kids dead. He's like, got anything stronger? I just found a
Yeah.
dead body. You're like, what? But when he goes back and checks it, and it's like the killer under the mask, and all the blood's been cleaned up. Which, by the way, great job on that cleaning. He's like, I could have swore there was blood there. Pissed drunk, that's what he was. So yeah, the teen drama I'm not really feeling in this one. Were you?
No. No, not at all. She has a really close relationship with her best friend. And now that
Mm-hmm.
she's graduating, and this you can kind of connect with, right? More on a
Yeah.
high school level than a college level, but
Right.
she reassures her they'll always be friends. But yeah, the drama is just a little dumbed down.
Yeah, well, the boyfriend girlfriend aspect of it is really weird. Like, so Mo basically she's pissed off at him because he always just falls for whatever Doc wants to do, and
Yeah, and
then
fits the bill.
yeah, and then he leaves, or she leaves because she's pissed off at him,
Well, because he
and
makes
his
that
solution.
condescending comment to her. Oh, did you think of
Yeah,
that one all by yourself?
yeah, he's a dickhead.
It's like, fuck
And then
you.
this guy decides the best idea would be to go hang out with this girl that's wearing nothing but pants over her boobs.
I mean, he doesn't do anything with her. He refrains when he could because she's trying real hard to get those
You know
hands
what
off
that's
of him.
like, don't you?
Man, why you gotta bring shit up? If anybody's watching this, this was a long time ago in college and not related to my current relationship with my wonderful wife. We gotta cut that, man. What are you talking about?
It'll be cut, but that's just too funny. But but well, I mean, it's the fact that he goes with her, knowing, he knows he's not supposed to. He knows that what's going on. It's pretty shady, I think.
Yeah, it is, but sometimes the chase makes you feel good,
Yep.
even if you don't actually ride the horse.
You know what makes me feel good? Busting.
Busting makes me
feel
good.
Yeah, you got it.
Give me a second, I'll
Yeah.
bust a rhyme here.
Any longer, that guy was gonna bust a nut. You know what I'm saying?
Bust a leak in his tailpipe.
So
Nope,
it's
I don't
really
know what I'm
weird
talking
because
about.
it's really weird because all of them are like, so, like Mitchie's like, ooh, I want to sleep with alligator guy. And Doc's like, oh, I'm going to take this alligator guy's girlfriend. And then Pants Lady's like, ooh, I want to sleep with Mo. And Mitchie sees them run off with them. And she's like, oh, let's just hang out here instead of, girl, this guy's going with, these other girls. Which is weird too.
It definitely seems like Doc and his girlfriend have more of an open relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just really odd because when she finds him and dude, Mitchie's death scene is something else too.
Yeah. Where she climbs into that top bunk and then is just randomly dead.
Well, no, she climbs to the top bunk with him, and then remember he has the other dude's arm or his hand. And he puts it on her breast.
Was it the hand or the finger?
It was the hand. She saw the finger earlier. The finger was in the
Yeah.
cigarette. And then he lays the hand on her breast, which who just carries the hand around? What?
I mean, when you need an
she's
extra hand.
She's like, oh, you know what they say? Cold hand, warm heart. I was like, I've never heard that before. I hear cold hand, dead heart.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I've never heard that saying before in my life.
So yeah, she goes to scream and he covers her mouth, and then of course her throat was slit off camera.
Mm-hmm.
And let's talk about the effects in this movie. They're not great.
They're not, but they didn't try to overachieve. You know what I mean?
You're right. Yeah.
But yeah. So here's a question. Towards the end of the film, the killer, did he get stabbed in the eye?
In the face, the cheek.
In the cheek? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it was confusing for me too, the way it was shot. When she first stabs him, it looks like it's the eye hole, but it seems like they changed it because when he's pulling out, it's the side of the mask that pulls out. And he's like, oh! Grabbing the cheek. What do you think of Mo's death?
Mo, did they, because he's just laying in the cart, right? And he's dead. He's got blood.
Yeah.
I don't remember seeing him die. I remember them finding his body and then Doc losing his shit, but
he's right beside them he's right beside him, remember, at the musicians, at the magician's deal. And then he somehow was stabbed in that time, and he's like dead. Just I think that's a very confusing one.
It is, because at some point, there was a point where I was like, oh, maybe he's the killer, and he's just taking himself off the board because we didn't see him die. There was no lead up to it. He was just dead.
Yeah,
but
yeah. Doc just finds him dead, basically. Yeah, and it's just like, what? That was kind of a weird one, especially since they built his character up like they did.
Yeah.
For him to just die and just off screen, which all of them do, but at least we get a preamble. This was just he's dead.
Yeah.
And then, dude, let's talk about the David Copperfield of the whole situation. Like this was one of his first big roles. I mean, this was a big deal for him to do his magic on screen.
Was that David
Uh,
Copperfield?
that's David Copperfield.
I guess I didn't realize that.
Yeah, it's a very young
For
David
real?
Copperfield. Yep. So those magic tricks are him actually
It
doing his magic.
is.
Yeah, it's him doing his magic.
Man, you can tell I pay fucking attention. I mean, although I'm not a big magic person, so like
You would not know what David Copperfield looks like. Yeah.
yeah. But okay, that's really cool. I did not realize that. That even adds like another element to all of his tricks.
Yeah, they were his tricks. Like they were doing his tricks. And he was doing them like he would do them on stage. So it wasn't like,
Yeah.
camera tricks. So, and you can tell on some of it. There's
Yeah.
actually a very funny bit. When they're doing the hang on a sec, my mic decided to come undone on me. But the bit where they're doing where he's levitating her,
Mm-hmm.
levitating the assistant. You could totally see him do like the actual magic stuff, which is he doesn't go around her with the hoop. He does the whole start to make it look like he goes around her, stop this way, go around, because there's a mechanism behind her holding her up.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, oh, he's actually doing his tricks then. That's cool. But they just spend way too much time on the magician, I think. On him just doing magic tricks.
I agree. Yeah, I mean, they were trying to use it as a misdirect, but yeah, you could have shortened that down a little bit.
Yeah, it seems like this was like a problem for Jamie Lee Curtis slashers in this bit, because it reminds me of the dance scene in Prom Night.
Yeah.
Just spread out though, instead of just one scene that's like a 15-minute disco. This is like just spread out of just magic tricks. You're like,
yeah,
okay. Weird, but all right.
Maybe that was in his contract. You guys have got to have at least 15 minutes of magic tricks.
Yeah, they're like, whatever, David. You
Yeah.
know what's... So the movie doesn't really... Like, during those bits, when the murders are starting to happen, it picks up a little bit, but it really doesn't kick into gear until, like, they pull everybody off the train, I think. That's when the movie becomes... That's when it becomes really solid. Because when they pull everybody off the train, and you have Doc and Jamie Lee Curtis's character, what's her character's name? Elena?
Elena? Yeah.
Yeah. You have them, you have them sequestered away in a room, and Doc kind of figures out that it's Kenny's doing it because he thinks he's the magician. Because the magician is the only none of them hired the magician or whatever. But I think that stuff is the tension starts to kick up. I think it's a lot better, right?
I agree. Yep.
What do you think of the third act of this guy?
It's, I mean, and most third acts are, but it is a completely different pace, and it kind of saves the movie for me.
Me too.
To be honest with you, yeah, because when they've got the chase scene going, and especially like when he's like popping all the lights and trying to get her, and
the scene in the cage is really good, I think.
Yeah, it really
is. The
is.
scene where she's stuck in the cage is really good. I think the fight scene leading up to it's decent. It's kind of like hokey, right? There's some hokiness to it.
Yeah.
But it's not bad. I think it's pretty solid. But yeah, I agree with you. The stuff in the cage in that stuff is really good because we get like a little bit of like a final girl circuit after that. But she chases her down when she rips out her earring and stuff, and so we're getting like some brutality going on a little bit. Mm-hmm. And I think the chase has good forward momentum. I don't think Doc's death is all that great.
Doc's death. How did he die?
Because we have the...
Yeah, because he, like, gets... I don't know what... I kind of can see it. So, he dies on the floor, and what looks to be a female hand goes onto his shoulder.
Yeah.
And then I think he thought that that was somebody else.
He thought it was
I think I
Mitchie.
thought,
Yeah.
yeah, he thought it was his girl. He's like, "Oh, it's all a joke. It's all a joke." And then he gets the knife wherever it goes.
I think it's supposed to be like he's supposed to get his throat slit. But what's weird about
Yeah,
it to me is like I don't like the tension's just not there in that scene for me. I think maybe part of it is because you don't care about Doc, you want him to die, but there's just no
yeah.
like there's no tension in that scene, and it's not because this movie can't have tension because I think Spottiswoode raises the tension very well in the third with the other chase scenes.
I think you're right. Like it's a lot of manufactured, and also
Mhm.
like there's too many like misdirects. You're like, oh, he's looking in here, he's looking in
Yeah,
there, he's looking over here, he's looking over there, and then he finally
he's
like,
looking under the thing. Yeah,
yeah. And there's too many. Like they could have cut one or two of those out and probably made it more suspenseful. But at
yeah,
some point, you're just
I
like,
think
ah,
so.
get it over with,
Yeah. Please, come on. And it's
kill
not.
that
It's like
mofo.
dark and not greatly lit, so it's not
Yeah,
great to look at that scene. But
yeah.
you mentioned a shot earlier that I think is the best shot in the movie, which is after she thinks she throws the magician off the train, and she's
Hmm.
in the room, and we see the killer in the window.
Yeah.
I think
It's
that's
my favorite
pretty
scene of the
good.
entire movie.
Yeah, I think that's a great shot, don't you?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
do.
it's like really cool. Yeah. And what do you think of the actual third act? So or the finale of this guy. So she sees the magician. She finds the dead magician because this whole time they were under the assumption that he's the killer. But
Yeah. So she finds him in one of the boxes,
mhm.
and then I
What do
think
you
that's
think of
when
the
she does.
reveal of the killer?
Uh, Man, I don't know what to think of the reveal of the killer. I was not expecting it, so I guess that is one thing they did. It's like one of those. It's actually like a magic trick, right? They're
Yeah.
hiding in plain sight.
Yep.
Um, but I'm glad that they also brought it back because like this whole time I'm like, man, it's gonna be his brother or something like that, or but no, it ended up being him, and
Yeah.
he had a mental break, and he finally got that kiss.
Yeah. Well, it's weird because so his plan here is that he obviously knows these tricks. So was he just been touring with this magician as his assistant for a while? You know what I mean? Like that's
I
just
don't
what's
know.
the logistics of it are a little weird, right?
It Yes, it is, and the fact that he didn't know that is a
Yeah.
little weird. Like yeah, I'm with you on that one. Like, how good is the disguise?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess it's decent enough because we didn't. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You didn't know when you were watching it that that was a male in, a dress.
That is true, I guess.
It's the way they shot him too is why you didn't know. Like they shot him
Yeah,
at certain angles where you couldn't tell, and he's a slight guy, so he's
yeah,
you know trim, and so that way it doesn't give it away that he's like some big hulking dude under the dress. Yeah, the reveal is interesting to me. I've lived with it for a long time, and I still don't know how I feel about it.
you lived with it for a long
Like,
time.
well, I mean, like I do think you're right that it works on a level of we never you didn't expect it, right?
Yeah,
So it works for that. But when you start to think about it, you're like, well, how? What? Just don't think about it too much. It's fine.
yeah,
So either he took the assistant's place at a certain point, or he's always been that assistant. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Either way, we get him as the. So what do you think of the reveal itself though to Elena in the scene they share?
What, where he reveals who he is,
Yeah,
or
yeah, yeah,
um, I think it worked because he's now masquerading as one of the conductors. and she
Yeah.
thinks she's safe. And then she puts her hands on there, and he grabs a hold of him really tight. And she's like, "Oh, I didn't know. I'm so sorry." And then he's like, "Kiss me." She kisses him, and
What's
then
Dude,
just
what's
like
funny
brought
is
him back.
those shots that were like interconnecting them. Kiss me, kiss me,
Uh,
kiss me, kiss me.
yeah.
And then yeah, he just has like a psychotic break again. Soon as after she kisses
Hmm.
him, he like starts doing that weird spinning around thing that he did.
Yep.
And then the conductor comes in and hits him with a
With a
shovel.
shovel. I mean, wouldn't you?
Yeah, but it's so funny. He hits him twice with the shovel and he falls out. That hit he takes is pretty brutal though. He's dead for
Yeah.
sure.
Oh, when he falls out and off the bridge
Yeah,
and like into
yeah.
the dude, he's fine. It's a flesh wound.
Dude, he gets
He's
fucked
coming
up.
back for the sequel.
There was never a sequel to this.
All right, then he died.
Yeah, he's
You got
definitely
me
dead.
there.
He's definitely dead. But no, I think that it's a fine ish. I think it's a really good third act.
Yeah.
Um, and I like it. The third
Yeah, the
act
third
itself.
act, like I said, it saved it for me. It because that first act was a little brutal.
Yeah, and even bits of the second act are kind of still kind of
Yeah.
sluggish, but that third act kind of kicks into gear, and you're like, okay, it's an '80s slasher. I'm kind of in. You know, they sprinkled some kills in. It would have been better if we would have got like the kills. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
They didn't have the budget for it, and Friday the 13th hadn't come out yet, so you know they didn't know that they needed to show the goods. You know what I mean?
Dude, I tell you what, I if I had no kids and all the free time in the world, I would recut this movie and see if I can make it better. Because I
Yeah.
think you could.
No, I think you can too. There's definitely
Yeah.
some. That's I think that's the weakest part of it is the pacing.
Yeah. The
Because I
pacing,
really
the
think the
length of it. Yeah.
performances are. I think the performances are good all around.
Oh, I agree. I thought that all the main actors did their part.
No, I think
You
the
know.
Ben Johnson plays the conductor, and he's really good. I think.
Yeah, I liked that actor in this role. I
Yeah,
thought you know, he was a steward of the ship.
yeah. No, I know what you're saying. Like he
You know what
kind
I'm
of
talking about?
like he leads he lends credence to the movie and like
Mm-hmm.
an air of legitimacy
Yep.
because he's a good actor. And then, but I think that all of the young college kid actors are. There's one that's not great. The one that comes in and was like, "We're gonna be roommates later." That woman is not the
Oh,
best.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
all your actual like featured players are good. I think
Mm-hmm.
that Doc is really good. I think the actor that plays Mo is good. Timothy Weber and Jamie Lee Curtis, of course, is great. The Jackson guy, which is the alligator guy, he's not the best either.
No, he's not. But he dies pretty early.
Yeah, yeah. And thank God, old freaking Ed dies the earliest.
Oh yeah, they were definitely like, we're gonna make people hate this character so that when we kill him, we're
And
doing the
they're like,
audience a
"Oh,
favor.
Ed, you're the funniest." He's like, "I'm making jokes about this blow up doll for 25 minutes." You're like, "Oh my god, please make it end. It's brutal."
At one point, I think he refers to her as the blow up doll as a lesbian.
Yeah,
Makes a tactless. Yeah, he deserved to die.
yeah. It was awful. That stuff's awful. And then it's just a really strange pacing of the movie. It's that magician stuff and too much of the conductor. And I guess
Hmm.
really it's just the backbone is kind of weak. It's just when we get to the visceral stuff, it's pretty fun.
Yeah.
Because the movie's not particularly funny. There's not a lot of good fun jokes, you know what I mean? That
Hmm.
that endear you to the characters and stuff. So you're just kind of like, all right, let's I don't want to I don't want to see David Copperfield do more magic. He's doing another
Because he
card
did a
trick. Okay, great.
lot of magic in here.
Doing a lot of magic. And then
Yep.
Jamie Lee Curtis is like all like smitten by him. Ooh, David Copperfield.
She was. Which, by the way, as a PSA, don't ever tell a girl that you might be smitten by her. It does not go well.
We'll talk about that after this. After we do
We don't
the
have
numbers
to.
on this.
We don't
I think
have
we
to
should.
if you don't want to.
I think we should. What
know.
What would you give this one?
I thought about this, man. I think I'm gonna give this movie a 6. And it gets a 6 because Jamie Lee Curtis is in it and she does a good job. And honestly, the end of the movie is pretty decent.
Yeah.
So
I'd venture to say the end's actually good, right? It's good. I think the ending is good. The whole once it kicks into gear, I think it's good. I'm going to give it a 6 as well. That's the rating I came in tonight with was a 6 because it just kind of feels like if that first half was better, this movie would have been better. I think.
Mm-hmm.
Because
For sure.
I mean, I think that they nail like the end of it with the kinetic energies there and the tension, and we get like that fight with him is pretty good when she's strangling when she's being strangled.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, there's actually a scene when he pushes her up against the door and she starts to slide down it. She fucking hits her head on that doorknob.
Oh, I know. Yeah, I at the very end. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
I noticed that.
I was like, oh my God. Like, geez.
I know. I wanted to be like, is Jamie Lee Curtis okay?
Yeah. I was like, oh my God. She took a rough
50
one.
50 years later? No, it's not 50.
Oh, it's
20,
40.
35.
Yeah.
Is it 43? Dude, it's 43 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my God.
I know. But yeah, they I saw that and I was like, oh man, Jamie took to use a wrestling word, that was quite the bump she took on that one.
Yeah, she did.
But yeah, I'm going to give this a 6 as well. So, Derek, who would Tom Atkins play in this guy? It's time to Atkinize. Who would Tom Atkins play?
Thrill me.
Tell me he wouldn't be badass as a younger, like, conductor.
He would 100% be a badass younger conductor.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, he'd have to beat the chicks off with a shovel.
Well, he's got one.
See what I did there?
I did. I would cast him as a conductor. Why not? You know, the rules are Tom Atkins at any age, so we'd put him as a conductor in this one.
Yeah,
I like that
he
actor.
would be a good, like, yeah. I mean, he would have done really well as any of the other main characters as well.
Yeah, he would have done good as Doc.
The conductor lives.
Yeah, the conductor lives. He would have done good as Doc. He would have done good as the... I don't think he would have done as great as Mo as he would have Doc, but yeah, I think the conductor is what we're going to go with. All right, Derek.
Okay. Yeah, I'll second that.
It's your turn to pick. What are we watching next week?
Oh, now we're headed down the crazy train now.
Oh, no.
All right. I was thinking about this today. What movie should we kick off the new year with for a second time? Because this actually kicks off the new year, but we're going to do it twice. What movie would we want to do it to? And I'm like, you got to go with something that's going to make you laugh. It's going to make you cry. I'm going to go with Dr. Giggles.
Oh, Lord, I have not seen Dr. Giggles in ages. Dr. Giggles streaming. Dr. Giggles is
Plex.
It's on Tubi, Plex, Sling TV, and Amazon Prime for free. So that's Dr. Giggles. Oh my God, dude, I haven't seen this movie in forever. That's so funny. What made you think of this one? Did you see it?
Yeah, it came on right after Terror Train. When I was watching it, it definitely did.
So did you watch this on Plex?
Yep.
I watch it on Tubi. That's funny. All right, well, Dr. Giggles it is next week. Derek, do you have a story for our loyal viewers for the new year? To bring in the new year with a bang?
You know what? I feel like I could tell the Smitten story. Okay. So when I attended Ball State many years ago, they used to have these Saturday night parties that were meant to give the students something better to do than to just go out and party and get drunk. Because Ball State had quite a reputation in the late 90s as being a big party school. I mean, rightfully so, it was. So anyway, they had these things and they called them late night. And they had like different events and things like that, food, movies, all kinds of cool stuff. So like I was standing in line waiting for like whatever event we were going to, and there was this girl who was in line like right next to us, and like, you know, this was as I was kind of coming out of my shell as a shy person. So like I felt like I could talk to about any person. So I like struck up a conversation with her. We kind of slightly hit it off. We got each other's names and, you know, connected on Facebook. And then I just happened to be, she lived in the all girls dorm, but so did somebody that I hung out with a lot. And I think it was more the coincidence than anything. So I was in this other girl's room who was eventually was my roommate. I'm not going to say her name, but you know who she is.
I know who it is.
Yeah. And so like I was in her room and her door was open and that girl walked by and she was in a towel and she stopped and was like, "Oh, hi." And I'm like, "Oh, hi. How are you doing?"
Yeah,
And
I bet you probably did it like,
talking.
"How you doing?
How you doing?" No, I did not do that. But we were conversing through Facebook, the early messenger. Anyway, I happened to say, I used the word smitten in this conversation.
How did you say it? You got to tell us how you said it, Derek."
So even if I were smitten by you, or something along those lines. Anyway, apparently that was enough. She stopped talking to me and then put on her Facebook that she felt stalked. And I'm like, how? I literally saw you twice. And one was like, both times were, I mean, a complete accident. Like, I didn't know that she lived in that dorm.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, she felt stalked, and I felt like that was terrible. Man, it made me feel bad. I was like,
I bet it did.
How did I give you that vibe? I'm sorry. That's not what I meant.
It's because you said
Anyway.
smitten.
Now she watches these awesome podcast episodes and looks at my torn ass shirts and she's like, "Boy, I dodged a bullet."
She's like, "Man, I'm looking at Derek. I'm really fucking smitten by him these days."
Yeah, you know, got the dad bod and all kinds of fun stuff.
Hey, we're making movies. To hell with her, Derek.
That's right. You know what? Since I kind of brought her up in conversation, I might as well tell this awesome story about my ex-roommate. So, this one's a good one. She liked me, and I was not about sending her mixed signals. And so, like, one night that, like, we all met, and then, like, over the summer, we were like, "Hey, why don't we just get a house together?" Like, me, her, and another roommate. And, you know, I was all like, I just need people to live with. And, like, Phil was a really great friend of mine. And so, you know, I was like, Ashley, yeah, you know, you can room with us. But anyway, so one night we were watching movies in my room and I had the bigger television. So, yeah, naturally, we were watching it in there. And she was laying on my bed. And I was like, "Oh, well, movie's over, guys. It's time to go to bed." She's like, "I'm not going to get out of your bed." I'm like, if you, this is terrible. I was like, if you don't get out of my bed, I'm going to find the biggest bowl that we have and I'm going to dump water on you. This is a dick move, man. But I also wasn't trying to, I didn't want to like give her a false impression that I was trying to flirt because I wasn't. And so like, she's like, "Oh, you won't do it." And I was like, fuck. So I went and got the biggest bowl we had and I filled it with water and I dumped it all over my bed with her in it. Luckily, my comforter was on the bed, and so like I just couldn't sleep with a cover that night. I had to let it dry. But
She
you
got out of
know,
your room though, didn't she?
she did, but I assumed that she thought that was still like a flirty thing.
She did.
I don't know.
Because did she did she talk to you at night one time?
Why do you got to bring that up, man? Yeah, she was same house. She was standing outside my door, and I woke up at like I don't know, like 1 o'clock in the morning. She's like confessing her love to me. I'm like, I rolled over and went back to bed. The next day, we're like in the kitchen. I was like, man, I had a weird dream. I dreamt that you were outside my room talking to me. She was like, oh, I thought about doing that. I'm like, well, first off, you just confirmed that it was not a dream. It's like that's, in any scenario, that's a little creepy.
Yeah, that's great.
But
I mean, you could say she was smitten with you. Brought it
you
back.
could say that. Now,
Brought it back.
also the last thing I want to say about this, in the event that she were to ever watch any of these episodes and she comes across this one, I am really sorry about how things turned out. Just FYI.
I mean, not that you didn't end up dating her.
No, I mean, you either click with somebody or you don't click with them, and I didn't click with her. But I am sad that, and I'm not going to go into detail on this, but how everything did turn out. And unfortunately, she and I don't talk anymore. We had slightly a falling out, and it's sad. She was really, she was a very kind and very nice person, and so I appreciate that about her.
Yep, that's nice.
But
way to end it on a positive note for the new year.
that's how I roll.
That's good. I'm proud of you. So, update time, Derek. We have some updates for the movie. Yeah.
Yeah, we could share those.
We are shooting the opening scene for the movie in April.
April of 2024.
April, we are yes, April 2024. We are shooting the opening scene to the movie, and we're going to use that to raise the rest of the money for the feature. So it's all starting to come together. We've got some casting done. We've got some crew put together and some locations. So we're on the way, right, Derek?
Yep, got a lot of fires in the poker. No, poker's in the fire.
There it is. Good news. It's exciting. We can't wait.
Yep.
It's what we spend our weeks doing when we're not working, spending time with our families, right? It's the movie. So,
yep.
So it's great. So stay tuned for more updates on that. We'll share them once we have them. So next week we will be hitting up Dr. Giggles. You can find it on all those places I said earlier: Plex, Tubi, Amazon Prime. You can follow us each on Twitter. You can follow Derek at DDoglyMaster. You can follow Lydia at Lydia Spooky, and you can follow me at Racket. You can follow us online at HiLaProductions.com and on Facebook at HiLa Productions. Be sure to comment down below on your thoughts on Terror Train. Is Terror Train good? Is it bad? Is it in between? We think it's in between, I think. In between, leaning towards good, right? Leaning towards good.
Definitely a tweener.
Yep, tweener. So comment down below on your thoughts on that. And thanks for watching. Happy New Year, guys. We're happy to bring in the new year with you. Until next week, for Lydia Judy, Derek Lemaster, I'm Jamie Hiles. Remember, if you're going to scream, scream bloody movies. Perfect. No notes. Yep.